you'll give the doctors, you work with them basically, and you work with their hands that what needs to happen is done. That there's no um, 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 accidents, fatal. There's none of that. But that when she comes out better, when it comes out healed, or when it comes out positive, we can all give glory to you once again, knowing that Jesus is still alive and he's in the business still of healing the sick, and he hasn't changed since he's went to heaven. So I ask that you be with us now as we open up your word and we talk and we learn. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, bro.
All right, man. So, do you know there's a there was this story I heard, yeah, about this guy. In fact, it was more than just one guy, and they crash landed. This was about the time of World War II, I believe. Yeah, World War II, and they were flying. They were supposed to just fly from one of the European countries, anyway, right? And what had happened is they had set the plane on autopilot. When they set the plane on autopilot, the pilot took his rest and carefully monitored the instruments to just see when they were to arrive at their destination. Now, they were to arrive at their destination about, say, 3 or 4 hours. In 3 or 4 hours, they would have been from wherever they were. I think it was like near, imagine this is Europe. So you're going from there, like Germany areas, just like that side towards France and England, right? So they were just going like this. But then what had happened is which they never knew this. There was like a gust of wind that basically came and pushed the plane, right, far past its destination. But they never knew. So when they assumed the journey was going to take 4 hours to get to where they got to, and within like 2 hours, the instruments had recorded that they were already home, naturally, logically, they thought, well, let's not trust the instruments, yeah, because how can we be home so early? So they decided, you know what we're going to do? What we're going to do, yeah, is just carry on flying for another 2 hours, because that makes sense. So this is what they did. They carried on and they ignored their instruments and carried on flying for another 2 hours, because they thought, well, the journey is a 4-hour journey. And how can we be there in half the time? Makes no sense. Even though the instruments say we've arrived, it can't be. Now, obviously, in planes like this flying above the clouds, you know, it's easy to, you can't see anything. So they thought, you know what? Just in case, however, and in fact, no. So they carried on flying for another hour. And then they thought, you know what? Let's, because the instruments were showing that they had passed their destination, obviously, they were thinking, been 3 hours, how can we have passed our destination? So they thought, you know what, let's drop down below the clouds. We could possibly see where the HQ is. We can see that beacon light flashing, yeah, and then we'll be able to tell if we've really gone by it or not. So they dropped down below the clouds, and here they're looking out for this beacon light. And obviously, they didn't see no beacon light because they had passed it. So then they'd carried on flying thinking, well, it's been 4 hours now, we should have arrived. And they're looking for this beacon light, looking, and they're not seeing it, they're not seeing it. So eventually now they're thinking, what's going on? So the fuel starts to run out and they're thinking, oh my days, right? Fuel's running out, they can't see anywhere to land, right? So what then ends up happening is they end up having to land and take an emergency landing over some desert somewhere in the north of Africa. Now, when they landed in some like deserted area, right? And just, you know, the one with camels and sand and all that. Now, funny thing is that they battled very valiantly to get to their base. But when you see, like, they were proper in the desert, miles and miles and miles and miles that way is sand, miles and miles that way is sand, miles and miles that way is sand, miles and miles that way is sand. All around them just sand. And they battled valiantly, but unfortunately, every single one of them died. You know, they didn't make it. Now I was thinking, now you might be thinking as well, well, what's the point of that story, right? And the reason why I bring it out is because afterwards, when their bodies were found, they done the investigations and everything, they saw that the plane was relatively intact. They were like, okay, so they weren't shot down. What are they doing more than 4-6 hours away from their HQ? Nobody could understand it. But when they finally put all the pieces together, they saw that actually what had happened is they got to a point where like I said, that gust of wind blew them off course, and it basically made them arrive at their HQ quicker than they anticipated. But because they never knew about that, they assumed that they had passed it and blah, blah, blah. So, and then they didn't trust the instruments. So the point is this. And I thought that's a very good illustration for life, right? Because sometimes in life, things get so hectic, yeah? They are unexpected. And then you're tempted, yeah? You're tempted to go, you know what? Let me not follow the instruments, because it can't be right. It can't be, you know? There's a text in Romans 8, right? And you're going to see why I bring that out anyway, right? In Romans 8, and we've quoted this before, right? We quoted this before enough times. But in Romans 8:28 it says, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, yeah? And I'm thinking, how is it that this job that I had lined up, yeah? This job that I had lined up, it seemed so good, and it was everything that I'd hoped for, everything I'd prayed for and everything, and it seemed like, bam, it was coming right in my lap, yeah? And all of a sudden, a few days later, everything's changed and your world comes crumbling down and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what on earth is happening? Now, the thing is, yeah, when I do like, when we used to do Bible studies, basically, I remember, right? We used to do studies and stuff, and we used to talk about doctrines. We used to talk about truths. We used to talk about stories. We used to talk about all these things. They were all in the Bible, but we never really, we never really applied these things to daily life. We never really spoke about what was happening in our lives. In other words, you read Romans 8:28, yeah, and you don't actually say, well, what has that got to do with me now? How is that going to help my situation now, right? And kids, you realize when you're younger, right? Those of you who say, you know, who, in fact, we've all been younger, right? And some of us have been to church, yeah. And then I love kids because kids are so honest. When you're trying to teach them stuff and you come out with a madness, they are the first ones to point it out to you that they go, sir, or uncle, or teacher. They say, what has that got to do with us now? And I like that. I like that as well. And so when I'm saying this, right, the sense I want you to catch is this, yeah. When you read Romans 8:28, and then it says all things work together for good. And then things happen in your life, it's not working. You don't see it's working for your good. Then what do you do? And then I thought to myself, you know what? Sometimes it's also good, yeah. Sometimes it's good to remind yourself of where you're going, yeah. Sometimes as a way of taking your minds off of what's happening around you, sometimes it's good to remind yourself of where you're going. What has God promised to you that's going to happen later? What has God said is going to happen in the end? Yeah, in the end, what's going to happen? I remember when I was used to be going to France every holidays, we used to go there, visit my grandparents, right? And they used to tell us, well, they used to bring us to like theme parks, and we just had such a good time there. And the thing is, as bad as my school was, as bad as some experiences were when I was growing up, yeah, I kid you not, there was times here where I literally just used to think, you know what, I can't wait till summer holidays. I can't wait till summer holidays. And that's how I'd get through the day, the weeks and the months is I know I'm going to France. I know I'm going to France. I know I'm going to see my grandparents. We're going to have a good time and all of this won't matter, right? And lo and behold, what happens? That gave me the strength and the power to actually last up until the time I was go to France. So now, when I was reading this text now, after after this happened now, and the guy's like, yeah, you know, changing his mind now, and all of a sudden now, from going from, yeah, you're going to be this and that person, right? You're going to have basic, the implications are, we're going to pay you this much, and this is going to be great, and blah, blah, blah. So all of a sudden, it's backtracking. And literally in my heart, I was like, oh my gosh, this actually happening though? Is this actually happening, right? And then Romans 8:28 comes about. Like I know the text. I know what it says. Yeah. But what am I gonna do about it now? And this is the thing, yeah. This is when God becomes really interesting. Because I thought to myself, you know what? Let me not trust myself. Let me instead of thinking like those guys on the plane, let's not trust our instruments. Yeah. Let me actually trust the instruments. And what does then that imply about what is going on? Yeah. Now, there's many other things that's been that's been happening as well, right? It's been stressful times, yeah. But when I look at it through the eyes of the instruments, yeah, these promises that God has given, all of a sudden it's not even that bad, yeah. Now, there's a in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, right? I'm gonna read this to you. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 9, right? Because there's one way we can read it, but there's also another way we can read it too. Yeah. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 9, it says, but as it is written, I have not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. So God is saying, nobody has seen, nobody has heard, it hasn't even entered into your imagination, the things I've got in store for you. And I sat there and thought, you know what, am I looking at this all wrong? Am I looking at this all wrong? Because there's many examples in life where we can draw from, where we can see how we can see how when trials and challenges came into somebody's life, right, it wasn't the end and be all. That wasn't the end story. There was something that came after, which made all those trials worthwhile. Yeah. And it's like, when I go to Ephesians chapter 3 and verse 20, Ephesians 3 and verse 20, it says, now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. And I'm thinking, so that means then if God is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that I ask or think, that means that everything is going to plan. Because the true implication of that is if we're supposed to ask God for this and that, and he says, I'm going to work in a way that goes beyond what you can ask or think. So then I'm asking for this and that job to work and happen. Yeah. And God is saying, I'm going to do better than what you asked me for. I'm going to do better than what you can even think. And I thought to myself, wow. So it's just, it appears to be bad. But when taken into consideration what God says, the instruments, it appears like those men in the airplane. It looks like we've gone past our stop. It looks like this don't look and make any sense whatsoever. It looks like that, but it's not the reality. I thought, that's interesting. Because then all of a sudden now, your perceptions change. You see, this is, oh my days. There's a parable in the Bible, right? In Matthew 13, where it brings out this kind of this point where Jesus, is seen going through a marketplace. And it says it's a good man, he's going through the marketplace, searching for pearls of great price. Yeah. And in going and searching for one, he says he finally stumbles upon one pearl of great price. Yeah. So, and then what he does, he sells everything he has in order to buy it. And then I thought, right, what does that mean? And you think, well, what did Jesus do in order to buy humanity back? What did Jesus do to buy the world back? What did Jesus do to make sure sin wasn't the final say in our lives? What did Jesus do to give us eternal life? What did Jesus do? What did he sell? And what did he give up all of? And you think, well, he died and gave his life. So you find that Jesus, watch the illustration. God wants us to understand that in this prayer thing, when we're speaking to God, we're communing with him, we're asking him for this and we're asking him for that and all of this nice stuff. God wants us to understand this one thing. He says, it is not you that necessarily is coming to me. You are only responding to what I'm already doing. I came to your marketplace and you were that great pearl of great price, and I gave everything for you. So in terms of our prayer now, he's like, it's not about you wanting to do for you, right? And you're and maybe God's gonna do this for me, maybe he isn't. God is saying, look, I came looking for you to give you something that exceeds your imagination, that exceeds what you can even ask or think. I came to do that for you, and I gave everything to make sure that you get what I can't even put into your imagination. I thought, wow, right? So it's like, we have to remember, we have to remember, and this is the key thing now, right? There's a text that in the Bible says, we walk by faith and not by sight. When we come to God, we have to remember, that what you see with your eyes, what you hear with your ears, basically what you're going through, it may be difficult, but that is not the end. That shouldn't be, your test to see whether things are going good. Your test to see whether things are going good is, what has God said? What has God said? And you will find that if sometimes as well, you'll find that if you just wait a bit longer, things will things will be better, things will get better, and you'll see God's promises come through, right? But the key thing really is, the key thing to remember is that what God has promised, he will do, right? And it's because he has promised. there's a really good a story I was reading today, right? About Gideon, and Gideon was, to be fair, Gideon was a guy who was scared, but he was an Israelite, and at that point in time in Gideon's life, he was just doing his normal day things, working on his dad's field. Now, amazingly, he was working on his dad's field and he was planting stuff in secret because they were scared of the enemies, the Midianites, coming and taking the stuff that they were trying to grow. Because every time they tried to grow their food, the Midianites, who had power over them at the time, would come and just devastate the crop. So he's there hiding, trying to grow his stuff in secret, so out of view of nobody. Then one day, an angel comes to Gideon. And the angel says to Gideon, this, the first thing the angel says to Gideon is, Gideon, thy mighty man of valor. Now, the reason why that was a bit strange, that kind of salutation, as they call it, is because Gideon hadn't fought a fight in his life, but yet he's being called a mighty man of valor. That's like calling you the heavyweight champion of the world. You've never stepped in the ring. And God is calling Gideon this before he stepped in any ring. So anyway, the story continues. So then the Gideon's impressed, like, wow, what's happening? And then God then says, I want you to deliver Israel from the Midianites. And then so he's like, how can me? Where am I going to get the money from, right? My family is the poorest in Israel, and I'm a nobody. I'm not royalty. I'm nothing. Who's going to listen to me? And then God says, haven't I called you? And then then God gives Gideon a test. And he says, Gideon, what I want you to do is, you see that idol over there that your dad built, in honor of Baal and that? You see that idol? Smash it down and offer a sacrifice, in its place by building my altar. So smash it down, build my altar, and then offer a sacrifice in its place. And then guess what Gideon did? He didn't go and smash it down straight away. Nope. The Bible says he waited till it was dark.
Wow. He waited till it was dark.
So I was like, hold up. He did it anyway, but he waited till it was dark. And then he smashed it down, done the sacrifice, everything like this. And I was like, hold up. So, but God didn't disapprove of him doing that. I was like, that tells us something about God. That tells us here that God tells us to do something. And how is it that Gideon was like, boy, do that in front of everybody? And Gideon was like, how can I do it in the dark so no one sees me? Like, you tell the truth, when God is presented to us, we feel like we have to be dons straight away. Tell the truth. It's almost like, whenever you hear God being mentioned, Bible, what this, what that, right? You get it, bro. You have to be an angel right now. What did God say? Go and do it then. Go on, right? Have all the faith that you're supposed to have right now. Have all the strength that you're supposed to have right now. Get it right now. And of course, no one ain't saying that we're not supposed to get it right. But listen to what the story says. Gideon was like, okay, I want to obey you, God. In fact, I'm going to, but I'm going to take the easy route. Are we hearing what the Bible is saying?
Yo, the Bible's going off, bro. The Bible's
What?
going off. It's going off.
What? So God, I want to go to church and do all those things, but I don't really fill in the blanks.
You don't have to do it broad day.
You're just like, why did God have respect unto that kind of obedience? I think it's as simple as this. Did he end up doing what God wanted him to do? That's it. So you ended up having patience, but yet because it took you 2 or 3 times to get it right, you're still moody with yourself. You're still busting yourself up. Like, I should have got it the first time. What? God is telling you, didn't it happen? Then guess what happened in the next chapter? You're going to be KO'd by this. In the next chapter now, so what happens is he does this, the city comes together, the men of the city like, right, he has to die. And all this time, Gideon's gone. He's missing. He's missing. But by the next chapter, when more Midianites come, yeah, there was so many of them, God says it's like grasshoppers, yeah? So it was enough of them. So when, imagine now, 10, 20, 30 men come after you, right? And they're looking for you, knocking on your dad's door, and you're gone. But then, oh, you got, shut up, big heads. They're trying to do Zoom. So imagine now, right? Yeah, close the door, thanks. So imagine, see how madhouse, right? So imagine now, right? 30 guys come knock on your door because you bust up their car in some neighborhood somewhere because it had black people stink, right? You're like, what? Black people, what? And you smash that bad boy at night time. You smash that thing, keyed it up and everything, like, yeah, bath. You go sneak into your house, yeah, knowing what's gonna pop off. The 30 guys come to your door and then you let your dad answer the door. After God just told you, I'm gonna work through you. You're like, yeah, but God, you told me to bust up the car though. You never told me to stick around. Yeah. I'm gonna let my dad just, do his dad thing in it. And I'm just gonna hide. And Gideon's hiding. Then by the next chapter, right? Watch this. 30 guys come, you're missing. But now the whole of England descend upon your house. And guess what you do? Now you come, you put your speaker and your dictaphone, your speaker's out there in the wide and open, yeah? And you have your dictaphone and then you shout, come then.
Come then. What you about saying?
What?
Yes,
what
Jonathan. Praise God, bro.
What happened? What happened from you ran away from 30 guys? Now the whole of London's on you, and now you're like, come then. Come. And you want to know what happened? You want to know why? You want to know what's the difference? Yeah. Let's read it. Let's read the difference because I want to make you lot see that it's actually there, right? So you ain't gonna believe this, right? I think it's in what was I reading today? Here we go. No, that's not it. Sure, let me just use Bible Gateway. Let me just, there we go. Watch this, man. This is so deep. There, I was in the wrong book. Judges chapter 6. Yeah. Judges chapter 6. Don't know why I went to First Chronicles 6. Anyway, Judges chapter 6, yeah. Watch what it says in Judges 6, right? And verse 34, it says, right? And this is after the Midianites come down, and enough of them. And he says in verse 34, but the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew the trumpet. The what of the Lord came upon Gideon? The Spirit of the Lord. You see, what happened is what you can imagine in your own mind as well. 30 guys, I would smash up a car, and these 30 guys are ready to kill me and my dad. And imagine God would have been working on him that night. Like, you're going to let them have that. You're going to let them do that. You're going to let them, right? And God's just moving him like, didn't I tell you I'm with you? Come on, man. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you I'm going to do this? Doesn't it upset you? Come on, man. Ain't I with you? And Gideon was went, yeah, man, it's true, it's true. And then when he saw the whole of them, thousands upon thousands come, he's like, you know what? I'm ready. I've had enough. I've had enough. I'm going to stick to my instruments. Yeah. I'm going to stick to the promise. I've had enough. Come now. Because why? Because the Spirit of God now was working in him and working upon him. And this is what we have to be clear about. Listen, yeah, when Jesus comes upon you and he's working on you, what he told you on the Monday to go and smash up that car that you did at nighttime, you think it was going to stop there because that's what you asked for. God, give me that job. God, give me this. That's what you asked for. But God was like, do you know what I've called you for? I'm going to let this and that happen to you because I got plans for you. You think you're only going to take on 30 guys. I got plans for you to take on the whole area, the whole postcode, the whole country. That's the power that God gives when he calls you. So even if it takes 2-3 months for you to get it, just when you get it, that's the point. And God has enough love in him. Jesus has enough patience that when he's going through the marketplace, do you know where pearls come from? Yeah. When God is going through the marketplace and seeing these treasures, some of them are dirty. Some of them are scratch up. Some of them are beneath all kinds of different rubbish and crud. Have you ever been to a black market, right? When people try put in like the cheap trainers with the good trainers and try wink, wink, like, yeah, it's authentic. You're like, nah, man, take away those beelers. I want the feelers, yeah? Take away the fikes. I want the Nikes, yeah? Right? And God is going through that marketplace and he's seeing, yeah, this pearl. Now check this. Do you know where pearls come from? You know where they come from? They come from oysters, yeah? Come from oysters. I don't know how to process the salt and something when they keep opening and closing their mouths, right? It makes the pearl form, right? But whatever, they come inside clams, yeah? Now, have you ever opened a clam and smelt that bad boy? The thing stinks. It stinks, yeah? But God is able to see the pearl beyond the smell. Come on now. Yeah. So this is the Jesus we're talking about, that even though he's doing this, he's still selling everything he has to buy you because he knows how much value you are to him. He has placed that value upon your head, and he doesn't see it as any great thing to lay down everything he has to make sure you have that life that he's talking about. I want to do, this is what Jesus says, I want to do such great things for you. I can't even tell you because your imagination can't even take it. I have not seen nor ear heard now, neither have entered into the heart of man the things I want to prepare for him. All things work together for good. How much good, God? Ephesians says that it exceeds everything you can even ask or think. This is what God has prepared for us. And Jesus says, listen, the crux of it is, if you just believe and my word, take that instrument And no matter what happens in your life, take those promises and hold on to them for dear life, because this is how God works his power in us. And you will see, because God don't lie. In fact, the Bible says God can't lie. And you will see when God fulfills his things. Right? So, amen. So I pray that, you enjoyed that one. I did. All right. So any questions, any comments, feel free. I don't know why is this malfunctioning. Yeah. So let's just in fact,
Yo. Yes, guys. Yeah, man. It was a blessing, man, John. It's a blessing. I was doing my last bits of prep for the Sabbath, and even though Sabbath is already upon us, them ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was a blessing, man. I was just following along in my head, and I was man. Just wanted to say thank you, and because it's not been the best of weeks, but yeah. But praise the Lord, man.
Yes.
Praise God.
Yeah.
I'll have to catch up with you though, John, because I heard some things in there and I was like, what? I don't need that. So I need updates.
Yeah, I know. Definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah, man. So yeah. But yeah, so that was it really. I'm sure that it will help you in whatever it is you're going through as well. You know what I mean? So just as I like to tidy up the study with a prayer, so
I just add one verse, if that's all right.
Go on, yeah, man, go.
A verse that I really like I'm embracing recently is Joel 2:25. It said, "The Lord will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten." So I was thinking about like when those guys got lost and they were in a completely different place, even though they did pass away. Like we in our lives may think like things aren't working out in our time frames, or we haven't achieved something, or we've missed out on something. I'll put it down, but God isn't subject to our time scales. He's not subject to how we think things should occur. He's working it out, and he can restore it even if we feel like, oh, I'm 10 years behind something, or I didn't do this now. It's just that we're not subject to time in any way. Yeah, that was all. Oh, I had more actually, because I was thinking more about what you said. God giving us the desires, granting the desires of our heart. I was also thinking that not only does he grant them, but he's created those desires within us. So he's created us each individually to have particular desires. So if he's created us specifically in that way, we all have a special place in the world, and he's going to help provide for us in order to achieve whatever it is that he's put in our hearts. Yeah. And the other thing, is just that, you know how you said that God can't lie? God is creative. So when he says something, he can't lie, because what he says comes to pass. It's like impossible, because it comes into being. So that's amazing too. That was all.
Yeah. That was all, but that was good. Right.
Oh, what? Sorry, yeah. Now you just said that. Now, yeah, you just reminded me. Can you go back over the first point you made though, about that how we pray for certain things, yeah. But then in actual fact, he's the one who he's put everything down for us that he wants you.
That's right.
So we're asking of certain things from him, but he's already given us certain things that we haven't even seen the full fulfillment of.
Yeah.
If you could just wrap that back, because that was just, bro, that was powerful business, man.
Yeah.
Powerful business, and how that quickly tied into Gideon. I don't want you to go over everything again. I know you want it to be bite-sized, but that was, I think, something that, could definitely do with eating that again.
Yeah. So I try and put it try and put it in a way where it's easier to remember. But you said it, yeah, but try and put it in a way it's easier to remember is, you know, God just wants to give us life. Yeah? And no matter what there is in the world, you have to be alive to experience it. So God's trying to give you life, right? And everybody who is anybody in this world is asking for life, but God's trying to give us life, and we're asking for life. Yeah. So you know, when you're asking for, you know, like make it practical. Yeah. Say my son is asking for a bike. Yeah. But I already want to buy him a bike. In fact, I went to the shop and got the bike already. I just waiting for him to ask me. You see? So there's things that my kids want from me. I know that, yeah. But I'm already doing what I'm supposed to do to make sure that I have the money, right, and the ability, and then the time as well, yeah, to spend time with them when they ask me, right? So it's like, you know, I'm thinking, oh, my kid's gonna need to go uni, right? So they need some monies and stuff, right? So I'm already working now for something they haven't even asked me for yet. You see, and it's the same thing with God. God's already working now, yeah, to fulfill on the asking that we're gonna ask him later on down the road. You see, so what you're asking God to do for you right now, he already made provision a long time. You see, and it's like God, the Bible says, yeah, was in Christ reconciling the world to himself. So God is already trying to get you, though. God is after us, like the shepherd and the lost sheep. God is trying to look for us, you know. He's chasing us down. He's the one, you know, coming and saying, come on, man, let's go. Come and walk with me, man. Come on, man, come on. He's continually chasing us. So what do you think? If he's chasing us down with all these promises, he chased Gideon down. Gideon was there hiding in some field somewhere, yeah, hiding away from his enemies. And the angel came and chased him down and said, look, you, right? So obviously, as soon as Gideon was like, right, come on then, God was like, bam, let's go. But God already was the one chasing us down, you see. So I hope that made it simpler.
Yeah, man. Thank you, bro. Steve.
Yeah, man.
All right. Can I say something really quick?
No, you go, man.
I was just going to say in it, I'm sure you made reference to this in passing. But if you didn't, here it is anyway. You know, I think it's so important that, you know, the world, I say the world, it's just society, people in it, have come up with a word that describes the practice of of taking time out for whatever reason, a period of time to reassess, realign, and then come back, you know, moving forward. And the term is a sabbatical.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's so important that we kind of reassess like life, like what are we doing? Because things happen so much, so frequently and so quickly, you know. One day you could, like tomorrow, anything could happen, you know what I mean? And it seems like it's just a random event that's come out of nowhere, you know, and it's just mashed us up. So it's taken away whatever finances, whatever the issue is. But because we think that it can kind of throw us off in it, you know, and the verses that you were using, John, about how all things work together for our good, it makes so much sense to hold on to those verses so much, so that we just don't see things as random, isolated events.
Yeah.
You know, And sometimes, like this week, I've needed a break.
Mm.
And I feel like God knew that I wasn't going to take one. I'm just not the person to take one. I'll just work. And so what happened was, it's like my mum ended up having COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mum got COVID.
Oh my
She's all right, and she wasn't bad or anything like that. But obviously, because we're in the same household, it means that I have to isolate as well.
Oh man.
You know, and it was good because it gave me a little bit of perspective, where I was kind of looking at things and thinking, this was so needed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it gave me an opportunity to look at things just in my life that I hadn't addressed, because those are the times you see, when you're vexed, when you're stressed, when you're tired, and when you're ill, are times when it's like your character is tested, in it. Stuff comes out of you that you never realized was there.
Yeah, shoot.
And it's basically just in extreme circumstances, in it. So I was seeing, thank you, Claire, thank you. So I was seeing things in my character, and I was like, wow. So when I got the time off, I was kind of just looking at it, kind of breaking it, because I had the time to. And, you know, even just long-term things as well, like what I'm doing with work at the moment, I was just assessing it, because it makes sense to have a point where you can kind of look at this and say, from a grand standpoint of view, and just be like, all these incidents are linked.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're starting to see stuff from God's point of view rather than just from your own. So life then stops looking like a bunch of random circumstances and situations, and starts looking like a plan that's been formulated for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I was only thinking about it as you were speaking, because the term is sabbatical, and it's like, well, what if that's exactly what the Sabbath was for as well? A time where we could sit apart and assess where we fit in to the grand scheme of things from God's perspective, into creation as he's made it, or his ultimate plan. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't do that when it's just bam, 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 bam.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to be said about that. Let's just pray for the study, and then we keep wrapping them on Sabbath stuff. All right, so so hope you do remember points. If you didn't anyway, it's recording, right? But it's recorded, so you can get the points off. I don't know who's recording. I think Mike recording it, but I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I think he's recording it. So if you want that recording, just speak to Mike, right? So yeah, and yeah, pray for your mom as well. All right, let's pray then. Yeah, Father in heaven, thank you for speaking to us today. Thank you for being so faithful, man. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for having such an interest in us, an infinite love for us that will never run out. Thank you for having so much patience with us as well. Thank you for all the opportunities that you've given us and are giving to us. Thank you for the things you're doing for us, even behind the scenes that we have no idea of. Thank you for even protecting us from so much miseries that we could have experienced, but you've done your magic, you know, and we're here today with our hearts filled with appreciation for what you've broken down to us today. So be with us continually. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. So yeah, I was thinking about the Sabbath thing as well. And what you said is true. And you can, it's like these two things, just these 2 points. Yeah. Someone told me, I think it was one of you lot, but someone told me that the word holiday, comes from the word holy day. Yeah, the word holiday. Now think about that for a sec. If I said I'm going on holiday, everybody's thinking positive. Doesn't matter whether they're atheists, red, green, from a different planet, right? It doesn't matter who you are, basically. When I say holiday, everybody's thinking positive, yeah? Everybody's thinking, wow, lucky you, I wish I was you. Everybody knows what that implies when I say I'm going on holiday, yeah? Everybody knows that. But it's interesting how that holiday has come from the word holy day, right? So it starts to make, it starts to make you think like, okay, I wonder why the world adopted this word to describe what we do when we're just not working, and it needs something to be said about, Sabbath, because boy, when I was growing up, yikes, what? You know what my favorite day was when I was growing up in church, right? Going to church every Saturday. What my favorite, and Mike, you can stop recording this if you want, right? Don't know if people want to hear this, but it's the truth, right? I watched this film the other day, and the guy goes, it's an old one, isn't it? He goes, I want the truth. He goes, you can't handle the truth, right? Yeah. So it's like, it's the truth, right? The truth is, my favorite day was Saturday night, That was my favorite day. Why? Because it was the longest time, right, away from the Sabbath coming again, right? Though the day I hated was Friday. Go to school in the morning thinking, tonight, man, gee whiz, gonna come home and can't do nothing. I'm gonna go to church and be bored stiff, right? And blah, 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 right? So, but then obviously not obviously, right? But when God started to show me a few things, I was like, I went actually to the Bible and looking at this thing, Sabbath, right? And you're just like, when it was first introduced, just like marriage, watch this now. Everybody looks at marriage and sees the positives of marriage and got nothing good to say about marriage, for the most part, yeah? For the most part. They've got issues with finding the right person, right? But the concept of marriage, right, is positives up there, right? For the most part. And if the marriage was created at the same time as the Sabbath, why did the Sabbath not get that plug-in? Why did the Sabbath not get just as much good light as marriage did? I think it must be the work of the devil, to put so much foo-foo on the day. Because even when Jesus was around, right? But this could be a different topic for some time other. But it's just a quick point in it, right? That imagine now, we have weekend because traditionally Europe was being ruled by the Catholic Church, right? So the Catholic Church ruled for more than a millennia, more than 1,000 years, yeah? And so the tradition of the week ending, because the weekend was dictated by, they would go to church on Saturday until they stopped keeping Sabbath and then just went on Sunday. But those 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, was reserved for church. So that it was come to be known as the weekend, right? So that's why we have the weekend now. And does anybody complain about the weekend? No, because you're like, all right, don't have to work, can relax. It's me time and family, yeah? And it's funny how when you look at the Sabbath, it was initially created in the garden. It was for those reasons: family, you and Eve, yeah, and God, and what else did I say? Oh yeah, and then resting in His creation, what God has done, what God has, created for you. So you find that. Imagine though what would happen. Imagine what would happen to you if there's no rest day, there's no weekend. It's Monday through to Sunday, continually over and over. Nothing shuts, everything's always open, and you're required to work every single day without fail. No holiday, none. Because the concept of rest comes from Saturday. The concept itself that you need to take a break from working, yeah, the earliest concept, should I say, is from Sabbath. You can't find another more early concept than that if you believe the history of the Bible, yeah. So the very concept of resting from work, not thinking about work, just resting and just enjoy yourself, you and your family, that comes from God, is it? So it should be easy as 1, 2, 3 to show to people the benefits of Sabbath by just say to them, do you like holiday? Well, there you go. You already get 80% of what the Sabbath's about. You see, you already get it. So the reason why there's so much, say, confusion and misunderstanding and blah, 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 it's not because of he says, she says, blah, blah, blah. I think it's the devil always wants to pollute something that's good in it. But imagine having to work every single day. Like, there'll be no time for this after work. You see, there'll be no time to even link your bedrooms. You know, like on a real, how often do we get to meet up with just our friends during the week? You can't do that if you're working, right? Or it's very unlikely, especially if your friend is like, lives in a different city to you, you know, one little phone call, 10 minutes probably, right? If you've got the energy, right? So, because I'm going to be started by God's grace, right? I'm going to be starting this job, courier driver, right? For DPD. That's another story. But anyway, I'm going to be starting soon. And the hours, obviously, like, because I've done it before, the hours are like, you start early in the morning, you finish middle of the day. By the time you come home after delivering like 100 odd parcels, you're tired, man. You don't want to do anything, just sit, eat, and go bed because you're waking up early the next day. So imagine now you have to do that every single day. There was no rest, no, can't link nobody, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a godsend. Whenever you can take a rest, boy, take it. Whenever you can take a rest, take it. And it's not up to somebody else to tell you how much rest you need, because you've got, think about it this way. I'll say this as my last point. Think about it this way. When you've lost your mind, then what? See, so whatever you have to do to protect your mental well-being, your physical well-being, do it, because once it's gone, nobody's going to be able to give it to you back. That's another.
Amen, bro. Amen, bro. Amen.
A little side point, but yeah, so yeah, there you go. So yeah, man.
We are gonna talk, my brethren. We are gonna talk.
Yeah, man. I'm
gonna link up.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope that you all liked this Zoom today. All right. And unless anybody wanted to carry on chatting, I'm fine with that too. All right. Yeah, it's not that late.
I'll stay. I like talking to you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, that's it, man. So I was so yeah, the little thing about the DPD, it's quite interesting actually. It's quite good actually. Of all the couriers out there, if you know anybody, oh yeah, as well, this is a good one. If you know anybody who needs a job, yeah, in the Leicester area, I don't know about say Birmingham, right? But no doubt it should be the same, because with deliveries increasing, there's literally not enough drivers. They're just swamped with work, literally. When I went to the depot in Leicester, there's just enough vans just doing nothing. New vans just sitting there doing nothing because there's not enough drivers. So if you know anybody, DPD is good as well, because they pay well. You know, they pay well. I mean, relatively speaking, but because there's some delivery companies where they want you to get a van first, right? And then you pay lease on the van, and then you then go work for them, they pay you, then you have to pay for the maintenance of the van and all that. That's not for me, right? I can't be dealing with none of that stress, because already you're driving at breakneck speeds trying to deliver everything. and then you have to worry about tires. You have to worry about maintenance, fuel, insurance. And then imagine you get a ticket on top of that. Nah. It's like, I remember getting a ticket, right? Parking ticket. And already, right, I'm struggling to just pay all of what the car needs. So insurance, this, that. And then you think, okay, this month's a bit tough, but thank God I could pay everything. Right? I got no money left over, right? Thank God I could pay everything. Do this, do that. Went down to London. I thought, yeah, just got money to do this, blah, blah, blah. Went down to London. And as I was in London, I come back home, letter in my door, parking ticket. And I was like, oh, that is so stressful. So instead, I just prefer, they take care of the van and you just get paid. Done. So if you know anyone who needs work, give a shout to DPD. That's it. If you're in Leicester, obviously. Yeah. Just have to take a breath. Yeah, it's true. In London, boy, I just hold my breath. I try and drive as slow as I possibly can in London. I don't ramp. They got 20-mile-an-hour places. I'm like, 20 miles, a bike, man. Yeah, bicycle, push bike, bicycle, pedals. Them man there, yeah, he passed me. Like, that was hard to take, right? There's times I've been flashed as well in London, but not received a ticket through my door. But then the thing is, I'm not gonna say it's because the machine didn't work. That might be the case, yeah. But I'm gonna thank God for that anyway, because I was praying like, God, please, oh, my days got flashed. Oh, if I get home and Patrice sees this again, yeah. So, so yeah, but yeah, man. So DPD is good. If you can get in there, it's good because they pay you per drop. So imagine if you get about £1 a delivery, yeah, and let's say you do 100, and let's say you do 120, right? Because they give you that 130, but let's just say they give you 120, so that's £120, right? That you make in that day. So, and you do an 8-hour shift. So you can finish early. Obviously, if you get to know your route, you can finish within 3-4 hours. So for 4 hours work, you're getting £120. And then they have like a second round and a third round. So you can come back, and then if they've got more stuff for you to deliver, like even if it's like, even if it's just one delivery you have to do, they pay you to do that second round delivery, whether it's 5 or 10 parcels, even if it's just 1 or 2, they'll pay you £100. So you have the potential to make a lot. And obviously there's people who are working Saturday and Sunday, but I'm not doing any of that. I already didn't tell Patrice how much, potentially I'll be making there, because I don't want to be getting up on Sunday to do any extra nothings. So that's why my mouth is, and don't tell anybody I told you. If Patrice asks you, it's gonna just be like, I don't know, because I know the wife be like, get up, get to work again Sunday. Yeah, I need some this, I need some that. So yeah, so now I'm all right with just Monday to Friday. So I'm all right for Monday to Friday. That's it. Yeah. But yeah, man, that's what's been happening with me. Oh yeah, and trying to sort out where my dad's gonna be living. Yeah, so apart from that, pray for that in your own time when you can. Just pray for my dad. He's doing all right. Because he just got COVID, and so he's just recovering. Basically, it's that it just takes you a while to recover because of his age, because of his ailments. He's not gonna just bounce back as if he's 30, because he's 64. So he's gonna take a couple weeks to just bounce back to at least where he was before. So yeah, there's those as like complicated stuff that's going on around that, to do with all these different options of housing, all the different options of care and blah. Because I was adamant that my dad's not going in a care home. I was like, care home? Nah. So but then I'm looking at other places which are just way better, like in the clouds better. I'm looking for them places there. So hopefully I can get one of those places. So yeah. But yeah, man. It is a bit of a pill to swallow, yeah. It is. Sometimes it's funny, it's like I wish I could cry to empty out how I feel, but it's just not working, So that's why the only thing that's been keeping me, boys, I say the only thing, but that makes it sound bad, but literally the thing that's been keeping me is God alone, So
My gosh, man, I feel that, bro. Going back to Romans 8,
yeah,
I think it's verse 35. That's what's been keeping me, bro, because I feel very similar way to you, man. I was just even saying that I wish I had the strength and the faith of you guys even, because it's not easy to speak about certain things when you're going through certain personal things, man. And it's like, when I just think about Romans 8:35, I think it is, that's literally the only thing that actually really sometimes even gets me up in the morning, like just allows me to even do anything, because, bro, we've been brainwashed, man, into living a life that, like, our jobs are our life, innit? When in actual fact, our life is our job, and it's like, I don't know, man. We've got things to do, innit? All of us have got different things to do, and God is the only thing that can actually suit any of the things that we need to do, want to do, don't like to do. He's the answer for everything, innit? Good, bad, whatever. I just remember that Romans 8, I think it's 35, when it's like, what can separate you from the love of Christ, innit? Like tribulation, like, would it be like nakedness, famine, pestilence, like all of those different lists. If you got it up on your Bibles, anyone got it up on the Bible?
Yeah,
read it out, bro.
Yeah, so who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress, persecution, famine, nakedness, peril, or sword? So yeah, it's true.
What else, man? As long as we got God in our lives and we got the Christ on our mind, everything else will be added, innit? Literally. He's the nucleus, man. He's just the life of life.
Yeah, it's true. I remember my brother telling me as well. He was just like, but John, though, like, if look at it this way, right? He's like, if we never came to God, if we never came to God, right, when He called us, and we just went around just living, right, without God. He goes, all of this stuff would have still happened. They just would have happened without Him. And I was like, that's so true, innit?
Sure.
Because your parents don't live forever.
No.
And you're just like,
but what would have been comforting about it? Where would the comfort have come from? What would have made you want to continue? What would have stopped it from hitting the fan? What would have stopped you from wanting to everything, bro?
Yeah, nothing.
You're still subject to, bro.
Nothing. That's the thing. I don't want. I know what would have happened, but it's not pretty.
No.
So but that helps me not. Not vent my vexedness on God so much, because it's just like, well, it would have
happened anyway. Yeah.
So you know what I mean. So, and then the thing is as well, a lot of times when it's like when I remember when going to a funeral with my dad's girlfriend. She died of cancer, And then I remember it just dawned on me then, it's just like, there's nothing you can say to make you stop grieving,
Nope.
you know, because love grieves.
Yep.
So you can't stop grieving. It's just, that's just
The way it
I mean,
is.
but then it's weird. It's a weird one because what do you say? You can't say anything to take away the grief because the grief's supposed to be there. The more love you have for them, then the more grief. You just have to go through it. Disease. So it's one where it's like there's not much you can say apart from, you know, it will get better, or I don't know.
All you can say is just to look back at Christ, because he's the only thing that's going to soothe a man. Because it's like he makes it bearable to live with. He's the only reason why it's worth going through, in a sense of it's not in vain. You know, everything that we feel, imagine that we struggle to the grief that we feel. You can't grieve for somebody else. Like, you can only feel your own grief and your own pain. You can still feel it, I guess, for somebody else, but you can never really feel what they're feeling, innit? And it's like sometimes what we're feeling in our own selves is so great that it's just not even worth thinking about. But then it's like when we look back at Christ, it's like, bruv, you done held that for me, you, my children, my friends, my loved ones, the men of history, the men to come. You held that for all of us. Like, you actually held that for every single one of life, not even like the whole of creation. The whole of creation, you held that for every single one of us so that we would have the chance. That's why I'm hanging in there, bro. That's why, whichever which way I look at it, even what you said about the holiday, bro, it's like the devil ain't stupid, bro. He's like tangled up the language, bro. Like, I always think back to, like, it's a simple thing, but I forgot about it until now. But you know, like, obviously the Tower of Babel was an important part of human history and civilization, because humans was on a mad one. It was actually doing the madness. It was really doing the madness. But God, and his ingenuity, he knew that if he confused the languages, it would hinder them from the small little works that they was trying to do at that time. Didn't confuse the numbering system. One is one, wherever you go. But he made sure that those languages were going to be slightly confused, that we wouldn't be able to continue with this madness. And it's come to the point where now the devil is, he's putting us into a position where we're not even acknowledging simple things like the holy day. He's putting us into a position where we're having to put all of the weight on ourselves, isn't it? Where we're starting to feel guilty for ourselves, that it's all on us, that we have to do this and we have to do that, and he's not at the helm of it all. But then it's like the same way that he's at the root of the negative, Christ is literally at the helm of the positive, isn't it? So it's just like, even just seeing you guys going through your stresses and struggles just reminds me of Christ. You know what I'm trying to say? It's just like, even though there's nothing you can ever say to a person to make it feel better or to take away the pain, it's like, it just Christ in itself. I remember when Matt was saying, I think 2 weeks ago, he is the remedy for the remedy. That is the remedy. You know what I mean? Just thinking of the remedy is the remedy, innit?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, man. So yeah, man. But anyway, it's 9:30. Don't want to keep you lot here too late. Right. So but yeah, thanks for coming on, and it's good to see you lot, talk to you lot, you know, and whenever Anton as well, you want to film me, just film it tomorrow or whenever, and Lyndon.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna call you before the weekend's out, bro.
All right, man.
God bless you all, guys.
Yeah, man.
Gone.
All right.
Give thanks.
It's Matthias, it's Erison, Chantel, Claire.
Happy Sabbath, y'all.
See you there, guys. Thank you.
Yes, man.
Big up, guys. Happy Sabbath.
Yes.
Happy Sabbath.
Yes, man.
Thanks.
Hey, man like Mike. Only sitting because his finger's off, his mic's off.
Is he He's not even turning off the recorder.
And Erison, big up Erison. Yo, it's been a minute, man.
In it.
Jeez, man, that Erison, you know.
In it. Is this comfortable?
Oh boy, that's jokes.
Extra.
Oh gosh. Oh man, that's jokes. That's funny.
I was just gonna ask you, Lyndon, like what's your schedule looking like tomorrow?
I'm completely free, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, completely free. I've had to isolate. Well, I remember sharing. I had to isolate for 10 days in it, so I go back on Monday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've got this whole weekend free.
All right, then. All right, that's good.
Yeah.
I know if I start chatting to you now, I ain't gonna go bed till like 12, 2 o'clock.
Yeah, more time. Yeah, probably. Yeah, yeah, anytime tomorrow, bro. I'm about.
Yes, Erison, that thing I said about Sabbath, yeah? Yeah. Oh, simple, yeah, man. Because it's made me think about it a lot, innit? Just a lot. I've been thinking about it a lot, a whole lot. So yeah. But it's just stuff I'm careful, obviously, because it's the commandment. I mean, I'm careful to just give out what I actually can actually prove without a shadow of a doubt. Because you don't want to start messing around with commandments. You just, I mean, there's that fear in me as well, like being raised Adventist. It's just like, nah, don't touch the Sabbath. But you have to, man. You have to go there and see what it is, because it's just like we can't be keeping the Sabbath right, yeah, when hardly anybody. I won't say nobody, because obviously it's somebody. But it's like for example, it's like when I see examples of people when they keep Sabbath, like the way the ideas Erison had for like Sabbath, right? I was just like, wow, oh yeah. But then didn't even cross my mind though. You know, I'm thinking now, but he's Adventist, I'm Adventist, but why isn't this not a general consensus amongst us? But why is it there's just general consensus amongst us for all the things we shouldn't be doing? You know, and that's the main thing. And it's like, it got me thinking that, you know, the same way the Pharisees, they put so much stuff on the Sabbath that they made it, what's the word? Anyway, they made it so
Like a burden.
horrible. Yeah. Nobody wanted to keep it. They made it burdensome. Yeah. So burdensome, nobody wanted to keep it. And I remember reading where Ellen White was saying that's exactly what the devil wanted. See, he heaped upon the Sabbath all this stuff that made it burdensome for man to keep. And I'm like, well, you don't think he's going to do the same thing today? You see, it's like, so yeah, I was like, that's quite true actually. And then obviously with COVID and stuff like that, you know what I mean? You have to ask yourself questions now, because now you can't go to the physical building. Then you have to, well, what should we be doing? You see, because obviously we're not breaking the Sabbath because we didn't go to church. But then the prevailing thought when we were younger was, if your backside didn't go through that building, you ain't keeping Sabbath. Like, how dare you? You see, how can you not be how can you say you're keeping Sabbath and not go to the building, the church? You see, but then now we can't go to the physical building. Then what are we going to do? And then you get to practical obstacles like, well, okay, Sabbath is to pray, right? To worship and stuff. And you're like, but you can't physically pray all day. You can't physically read the Bible all day, right? You can't physically do that. You can't sing all day. So it can't just be about that. So there must be space for that and space for other things. And I'm asking, well, what are the other things? You see? And then you're just like, I wonder who's, because imagine if you really go and check and start from the beginning. Yeah, you go to Genesis and start and see what the Sabbath is about. It's very hard to get to the point where you're like, that means don't switch on my washing machine. It's very hard to get from Genesis to that. You see, now I'm not saying so those people who don't want to switch on the washing machine to start switching on the washing machine. I'm just saying it's going to take a lot more than Genesis to get to that point. You see what I mean? But if Genesis is the birth, the origin of Sabbath, Genesis is before sin, you know, then Genesis should be the time where the Sabbath was kept in its purest form. Just like when you want to know about marriage, you go back to Genesis. When you want to know about what a relationship between a man and a woman should look like and should be, you don't go to 2,000 years after it's been watered down and influenced by culture and culture. You don't wait then. You go right to. Good night, Levi. You go.
Yes, Levi. Good night.
Go right to the beginning. You see.
Yes, Levi.
Yeah. You see, you go right to the beginning, right? So how do you know marriage is for one woman alone? You've only got Genesis to go by. Because if you wait too long, right? Good night. You wait even a couple 100 years into even Israel's history, you got Abraham with concubines. You see, that's Genesis 12. That's very early, do you see? So you can't start there. That's why you have to go to the beginning where it was in its purest form. And there
it only took 12 chapters.
You see, and you find where did Paul, when he was explaining about marriage, yeah, and the ideal of marriage, he doesn't start with Abraham. He doesn't start with David. He doesn't start there. He doesn't start where he is. Well, it's normal for us to go on like so. So we go on like so. He doesn't start. He goes all the way back to the beginning. Goes from the beginning, was it not so? And he says like Adam was first made, then Eve, right? The point is he makes reference to the beginning. You know what I mean? So then the same thing should be the Sabbath. You should be referring back to the beginning to get an idea of the Sabbath in its purest form. You see? And I'm saying that, you know, there's like, for example, on Sabbath, we would, like in my family, right? They would cover the TV, yeah, with a sheet, right? And you're just like, now I was growing up and I was taught that made sense. So it made sense, yeah? The Sabbath is holy, the TV's not holy.
And the Super Nintendo as well.
yeah. The Super Nintendo. My computer game,
everything.
Mega Drive couldn't be even out. Yeah, it had to be put out of sight.
My
games as well, and the game boxes.
Yeah, the game boxes. Yeah, the Monopoly couldn't be seen out. You had to put that out of sight. Yeah, and all these things had to just be put out of sight. Like no. And then so you grow up with this sense of, oh well, this is what it is, and it makes sense because we grew up like that. But I was thinking, is it actually the way? Now, if somebody doesn't want to play Monopoly and they doesn't want to do this and they don't want to do that, right? Okay, fine. I'm not gonna say anything, right? Fine, right? But I'm saying myself because I'm questioning how I was raised, yeah, and comparing it to only because I compare it to the word and that doesn't make sense. Like for example, I used to believe that I used to say believe, but I literally fought hard. Yeah, I thought that when a child does something, you beat them. Like that's it. You just smacks. That's it. Just beat them. Right? There was none of this as a last resort. What do you mean as a last resort? What did I say? Right? That's it then, isn't it? You didn't do it, pow. Because why? Because that's how we grew up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So last resort, I told you once. That's it. That's enough. There ain't no last resort. There ain't no I'm telling you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. I told you once, So
Or the one.
you see, like my dad would say, don't let me have to tell you again. That's that was the saying. Jonathan, don't let me have to tell you again. So you knew that once was enough. The second time you try a venture, right, you get beaten. So I thought that's the way, right? And then you grow up thinking it makes sense, but you only think it makes sense because you grew up like that. You see? So I haven't fully put to bed the idea of beating kids, right? Because the Bible even says, spare the rod, spoil the child, right? He that spareth his rod hateth his child, right? So I'm not gonna completely do away with it, but I have to say that in just adopting that one, in fact, it was Super Nanny, yeah. Super Nanny, she'll put the naughty kids them on the stairs, yeah. I remember when
I hated that.
and then I was just like, what? It was working though. So then I started doing that. You see, and then obviously when that started working, I was like, nah, there's something. Nah, how can something work like that and that's not beating? So then it started me on the road of questioning, do I need to beat them this much? And then the thing is as well, I was glad to not beat Aaliyah so much, because I was just like, I'm beating her all the time, just made me feel bad, So I was looking to do something else. And I said, there must be another way, because it's like, it just feels so horrible to do, and then it's like, in order to do it where you don't feel nothing, then there has to be a certain level of rage, a certain level of vexedness. And it's like, how this, but then I'm reading in child guidance where she's saying how you shouldn't be vexed when you go to beat your child. And I was just like, huh? So then that made me question the whole thing. The point is anyway, is I only thought it made sense because that's how I grew up, and then, I haven't beat my kids. I can't remember one, but I just can't remember, and then it's like, how is that even working? I don't even understand it, because I'm just like, why? I'm even thinking, why are you not even listening? Like, it's like, I haven't beat you in ages, and so anyway. So so when I'm thinking about the Sabbath now, I'm thinking, I want that day, to be something that my kids look forward to, that I look forward to, And so if it's at the point where I'm not looking forward to it, I'm not going to pretend, that I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to pretend that, what I mean? I'm going to ask God and say, nah, God, what's going on? How can I be keeping this thing and I genuinely am not looking forward to it? That don't make sense. What's wrong with me? You see? So God, you have to change me to make me look forward to it, because I can't be fake and unreal and then tell people to do as I'm doing, but it's not benefiting me. You see? Like, it's like, if I'm telling my friends about marriage, right, but my own marriage is mash up, right, then, and I myself wish that I wasn't married. If that's the case, then I'm not telling my friends to get married. And the only reason I would be telling them is because of my sense of duty to God and what I believe. But it's not actually genuinely because I believe a word of it. You see, it's just because out of duty. You see, so it's like, I don't want to be that kind of Christian. I want to be the type where it's like, I actually believe what I'm saying. I actually experience what I am saying. I'm not telling you stuff just to tell you stuff's sake, just so I can go, well, I told them the truth, woo, obviously it's not everything you're going to like, yeah, because we're sinners, we have all these faults in us. It's not everything you're going to feel like doing, yeah, it's not everything, but there ought to be a genuineness about why you're doing it, and like you genuinely like, nah, I see the point though, like you, so it's like say if I see an attractive woman, yeah, on the street somewhere, it's like, I know she's attractive. Yeah, my heart did skip a beat, yeah. But though my emotions went that way, I'm not going that way with my emotions, you see, because I genuinely love my wife though. You see what I'm saying? So there's times that happen like that in your Christianity where it's like, yeah, I feel like doing this, like going left, that's how I feel, but I genuinely know that I don't want that though.
Yeah.
So none of this waking up in the morning and it's just like, man, I wish I was with Becky and Lucy and so and so and so and so, and then
Man, you just pick the whitest names, bro.
No, that's what I'm saying. I did it on purpose. And then you're telling your friends, but I like black women though. Shut up, man. Don't. See,
Yeah.
you wish you had Becky, you wish you had Lisa, you know, and Haley and Gemma. You wish. But then you're telling everybody, because you know it won't be cool in your social circles to say that you like white women. So you're like, yeah, I love black women though, man. I love them. Yeah, they're so nice. Yeah, whatever, man. And their mans were like that in school as well, you know. Try to pretend like they were on black, and then as soon as they had the opportunity, boy, out comes Becky. But the thing is, I've never not liked white girls.
Yeah.
I've always thought, you know, I've just always preferred black women. You know what I mean? But because, you know, I think what helped as well is, you know, you go to a mixed school and everybody's the same. So it literally just came down to, you know, well, I just like her skin is brown. I don't even know why. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just think that, you know, well, anyway, the point I'm straying, right? Straying. I was about to go through all the, so yeah, the point is just that I know in me, I want to be just honest with my own self, you know? And when I saw, say, people like Harrison, you know, they're doing their stuff on Sabbath, I was like, what? I'd rather be doing that. Like, how did that not come into my head? Like, it didn't even, like, not once, you know, not once did it even pop in my head. Maybe I'll do that. Because, and I tell you, and I'll be honest, yeah, it's because I was just like, nah, that has to be wrong. So it's so out there, it has to be wrong. It just has to. So your mind doesn't even go there, not because it's even gone there, if that makes sense. Your mind hasn't even gone there. It's just assumed that everything outside of what you're doing is wrong. So it doesn't even go there. See, no one's ever even presented to, I say no one, but it's never crossed my mind to do those sort of things, you know. And so, but then when I go to the Bible, go to the beginning now, you're just like, point number one, God said when he created the light, he said, this is good. When he created the planets, this is good. When he created the stars, this is good. When he created the animals, this is good. When he created, the sea and the earth, this is good, good, good. Everything gets a good, 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 good. He gets to he gets to man, yeah, and then the Sabbath, and then he goes, this is very good, you know. So it's almost like he's trying to tell you something. It's increasing in splendor, right? It's increasing. His joy is increasing. You read Job, you read the idea that you get there, right? That the angels was rejoicing, right, when he was creating. And then, the innumerable, company of angels, they're all singing. And it says in a psalm that God himself was singing over man when he created him. And then he makes this day to commemorate his act of creating man and the earth and all things therein. And then the impression we get after he's making this day is that God does this.
Yeah. Yeah. He's gonna watch. He's sitting on his phone watching us go to church.
Just you see, so it's like straight away, you're not even getting, and I can understand the reason why as well. But straight away you get the impression that you're not even getting the impression that you're supposed to get when you're reading these verses, because they've been so long told to you in one way. Yeah. And then so you only see it in that way, because the thing is, what's mad as well is go.
Do you know what, when you read the texts, it gets to a stage where you have to look between the lines and just put yourself in there, in the text yourself, to really grasp the concept. So, when you're talking about Sabbath and whatnot, and this is probably controversial, what was the honeymoon night for Adam and Eve?
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, I even thought about that. Oh yeah, what is that? That is at a limit controversial.
That's a topic that's not even discussed. You see?
Wow.
So it's you would think, and even I'll be mumbling and stumbling, saying, Linda, you're not married, are you, Linda?
Nah.
Oh, see, it's only me and John can.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it as it is, but Sabbath sex is different.
Yeah,
it's different, and it's a blessing. So I'm gonna leave it as that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's true. That's a good point. It's a deep point.
But you wouldn't hear that. You wouldn't hear that in a church, though.
Nah. Oh no. No.
In church.
No. There was actually debates about that in church. I remember being in it was one time at Greenwich, another time at Plaistow. But there's been several different churches, my point is, right, where we actually debate whether it's okay to have sex on Sabbath.
That's mad.
It was actually debating like you're not allowed, and then there's others who's like, well, I don't see anything wrong though. But
it makes sense.
The person who says you don't see anything wrong, he was in the minority. Like I say, he was in the minority. It was only him one. Brave enough.
My days.
I don't see there's anything wrong. And everybody was like, nah, man. See, so yeah. So this is the reason why also anyway, in time, but this is the reason why I was questioning for myself, Sabbath and that. So because I literally do think there's so much benefit that can be had if we understood how to keep it properly.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you say Jesus was a good example of what he practically done?
Mm.
When the Pharisees questioned him, and you then start looking at the question that the Pharisees put when Jesus picked the corn.
Yeah.
Was he not walking through nature?
Yeah.
Going about his business to, meet people and just befriend them.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's true, man. It's true. It's just, and then a lot of it as well, you find that a lot of things Jesus wanted to do, including healing, he couldn't do because of the people. So I think from that implies that there's things that Jesus would have done, yeah, on Sabbath if he could. See, but
wow.
The majority were.
The majority of people would have looked at him in such a way that he just, you know what, it's not even worth it.
And then the joke is, John, how can them people be celebrating Sabbath but getting angry?
Yeah, yeah.
Like you can see that, because I know if there's been times when I've been upset with a comment or something within the family, and I think, oh man. And after a while, after I've cooled down, I'm thinking, was that really worth it, man? It's just like you feel like you've brought a spoil on it.
Yeah.
You see, and it's like even if I get upset or angry, I'm like, nah, this don't feel right. It's it's just like I don't want to be doing that, you see.
Yeah.
Because I like how things are going.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the one to bring any downers on the day.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'll beat up myself and say, you should have dealt that better, or just hold back your tongue next time, or yeah. Because I could see why Christ has done. And even in our day and age, our healing could be talk to your brethren, give him a call on Sabbath.
Yeah. You know,
that one little chat could be the healing that he needs at that time.
True.
Yeah. So true, man. So true. Yeah. I knew
but this goes.
Go on.
So I was gonna say this was going back to why I even raised the point in the first place, because it's interesting, because it's like even this discussion that we're having now, like think about if say us three worked together in it, yeah, and say we were on our break, so this was our break, but say we was in person, yeah, more time, we're not gonna have a discussion like this, because A, you're under a time constraint, B, you just come from doing some practical laborious work, whatever we was doing, yeah, so those things aren't really on your mind, innit? But true say Sabbath, yeah, so we're already, our minds are already on eternal realities, so it's like, but look at what God is doing. Imagine that this is even an option that we're saying, yeah, this is something that we could do on a Sabbath, even just to go for a walk or give your brethren a ring or whatnot. And this is what I was hearing when you was talking about Gideon and even the man them on the plane. That's not in the Bible, but the principle was the same. And it's like we have time now, because it's Sabbath, to sit and think of those realities. And what we do is we take those principles and we apply it to everything that's going on in our life at the moment. And so what ends up happening is the calm period now that we have now, now that it's Sabbath, gives us the power, to know that all those busy periods of our life when we're working or we're doing whatever, family life, whatever it is, it's all in God's hands anyway. So it gives you more encouragement for those times. So it's like it brings it full circle, I've got a reason why I'm in this madness, because I'm going to come back. And it reminds me of when Israel were cleansing the land that they were going to inhabit and live on, and they would always come back to a place called Gilgal. That was their rest place, where they would, heal themselves and rest, ready for the next battle. And it's like you go into the madness and then you come out a while to rest and to heal and to replenish, and then you go back. Do you know what I'm saying? But that's your point of reference. That's your point of refuge. You know, that's the bit where you look on the land that you're gonna, and then you go to your next battle strategy or whatever it is. You can see everything from Gilgal. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's what the Sabbath is. That's why when people take sabbaticals, it's the same, you know. And that's what this 10 days of isolation has been teaching me, you know. And it reminded me of when I was like 18, 19, and I would tell all my friends, whenever I got the option to speak to them, they'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing with your life?" And I was like, every single friend, I'd be like, "Yeah, so I'm working, but as well, I'm on the road to baptism." Every friend I would say, "Boom, I'm on the road to baptism. I want to get baptized, man," because that's where I was heading now, you know. And it's interesting that God allows you to think on certain things because his process is always the same. Yeah, I have to put you in these situations for character development, for primarily for character development, but also for the means of earning money, getting to know people, having conversations. They help you, you help them, kind of thing. And so that's the main reason. But then
Yo, Lyndon, you for cut out. Oh,
yeah, you can hear me again. So, sorry, someone just tried to call me.
right.
But then at the same time, God is it's like that rest period that you have. It gets you to understand what's happening in the busy periods of your life, and it to make sense of it, so you can say, okay, despite what's happening at the moment, I'm still on course to go here. Do you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's what God is doing, you know. So when at the moment, how I'm looking at Sabbath is like a mini version of that, because I see it everywhere. You know, everybody has a rest period of time in it, and they use that time to replenish, recharge, so that they're back on it. And when they get back out there, they know exactly what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like in that same way, you know, I remember things were going on in my personal life way back when I was 18. But whenever I did speak to a friend, and I believe in hindsight, I know now that God would bring those people to me as a means of refocusing me of where I was meant to be, because I was working all the hours that God sends. And when I would have those conversations, that was my little Gilgal. So I could say to them, yeah, man, I'm on the road to baptism, and it would refocus me. This is the main goal. This is what all this is for, you know? And yeah, man, so that's kind of in my head. It's like it's a mini Sabbath, or an extended Sabbath even, you know?
Yeah. But that's why I brought up, because you reminded me, innit, when you said sabbatical. That's why I brought up the holiday, innit? I was just like,
yeah,
holiday. That word came from holy day. Like they saw these Christians going on holy day, and they were like, I'm doing that.
It's interesting because that word has kept its original connotation, where it's like, and that's even because everything is mad how you was talking about, you know, you know, having, you know, the feeding of sex on the Sabbath. And I was like, that debate only makes sense because they enjoy it, and they don't see doing God's will as something that you can actually enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's mad. So it's like, for you to be obeying the commandments, then you can't be having a good time.
Yeah.
You can't. So, and that even goes back to when you was breaking it down before. There's a pattern now. There's a pattern, because remember when we was at Mike's and you was talking about, I know you've been on this anyway, because you and Mike have both been saying you kind of you're taking off the unnecessary weights that you've been carrying from childhood in terms of doctrine and things like that, stuff that are irrelevant. It don't make sense, and you've got to reassess it you know. And it's like, but holiness is happiness. You know, that's what God wants. God wants us to be happy. But there must be something in the human mind that's like, no. Serving God, I can't be happy doing this. You know, I have to be upset 100% of the time. It's like, oh man, I don't know why this analogy came to my head. You know, like roadmen, everywhere they go, even at party, they're just like, they look vexed everywhere. Playing with your daughter, you're just like, oh man. Yes, Mike. Big up.
Yes, Erasan, I heard your voice, man. I heard your voice in ages.
Yes.
Yes, bro, man. Good to hear you, man. How's the football going?
Yeah, it's all right, you know. It's all right.
That's good. That's good.
It's funny you say that, you know. I'll send it in the group, but basically, you know, I do the Saturday night football, right?
Yeah.
After sunset and that. So I call it after summer football.
Right.
And so those who want to play in it, because it normally gets quite packed, I tell them, look, you've got a certain time to do it, because after that time, don't chat to me about football until the same time Saturday evening. So they start scampering around, trying to book their place, and then it just gets sorted, because they all know what I'm like and what it means to me.
Right.
And you know, even one of them said today, he wanted to know if his name was down on the list. I said, yeah. And then his next comment was, "Oh, have a great Sabbath tomorrow, mate."
Wow.
Oh man.
And that, you know, just something like that just made me smile. It just made me smile that, you know, Tom, that's his name. He understands what I do now, and he sort of respects it. And yeah, and even so, this testimony again, bro. Because, you know, I do the Sabbath thoughts things, yeah?
Yeah.
And I sent it to my work colleagues. One of them came up to me and said, what is it you actually believe in and stuff? Like, what is it you do? Because she knew that I was, on Saturdays, I do special things and whatnot. And I was just telling her, you know, I believe in the second return of Jesus Christ, the 10 Commandments, and not bowing down to graven images and putting God first and keeping the Bible holy. And then we got onto prophecy, and she was brought up Catholic, which she's not really into it no more. But just from when I was 9 years old, and she started going off on Revelation.
Erison, your mic is muffled a bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Yeah, so she started talking about Revelation, and because it was like a quick tea break and I had to be out in my class, we couldn't really chat.
Right.
But what I got from that was she's fully aware that something's going to happen, and she was looking at the COVID, the laws that are taking place, where it's sort of repressive, and how and also what she said was how people are treating other people. Their true colors are coming out. And I've been noticing that myself. It's like, even with all what's going on now, I'm trying to put in my little area around my circle of friends, I'm trying to show more love and more that I'm available for them, because I know it's tough out there.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like I'm getting blessings upon blessings with certain things that I've prayed for, the wife has family prayed for, my mom's prayed for. It's just like things just keep going well for me, even though there's things that are going bad around me as well, which is just mad. And then I keep getting these conversations at the right time on the right subject that's been sort of going through my head, or what something I'm currently doing. So I'm going to be sending her stuff now about our revelation and documentaries about history, because she knows about it, and she loves learning. She said, I just love learning about other people's religions. So if that's not enough, if that's not an invitation to send her stuff, I don't know what is. So and yeah, it's just things it's just amazing how God works sometimes. You don't realize it, but then when certain people say something, it just clicks. It just clicks. And yeah, we're on the right team. That's what I'm saying, gents. We're on the right team.
Yeah, man, for sure.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's powerful,
Yeah.
man.
It is, man. It is. And even with that football thing, there's some of them saying now that they realize, you know, I can't be bothered with trying to pursue some sort of career with it. They're focused on other things, like one's training to be an airline pilot. So he's saying, because I only started the Saturday football back last week, because obviously sunset is much later now, earlier. So I can get to book the pitch, you know, hour and a half after sunset. So I got time to just get my stuff ready and go up there. So now he was saying, you know, last week, you know, this is my release to come and play because I'm so busy with other stuff. I can't do football in the week. But this Saturday night is just perfect. And, you know, I never would have imagined that Saturday night football would have been so popular and one of the best games of my week, because every week it's just like numbers are good.
Wow.
Every week people are saying, this is a good game. It's a good game. The venues of a high standard as well.
Right.
And with that, plus the people, the time, it just suits everyone. Everyone's just, I go home feeling it's a great way to sort of start the week, as well as a nice way to end it, even though it's ended already, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's just wonderful, because I'm having conversations with a lot of these guys that I probably wouldn't, as Lyndon was saying about the work life in the week, I would never have had these conversations before, because my mind probably would not have been as focused as much, because my thing is from work, get home, sort the kids out, get ready for my evening sessions, make sure the kids are fed, bath, homework's done. You know, I can't really check up on my brethren or speak to them or have meaningful conversations. But yeah, Sabbath brings that, and Saturday evenings, because no one doesn't want to go out clubbing and whatnot, sometimes we end up in the car park after the game chatting in the dark for about 20-30 minutes. Just about, you know, just chat. So yeah, man, it's yeah, people realize that a rest is needed. A rest is needed. And people will start seeing what's so special about your rest.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because it's different. Go on, sorry, Harrison, sorry.
It was because they do notice things, and that WhatsApp status, your Instagram story, your Facebook posts, you might not even write much comments on it or write words with it. You just might send a picture, and it says a lot to the person that knows you, knows what you're about, and sees, you know, they just see something that they probably might think, you know, I want some of that. I like the look of that, but they might not know how to say it. But they sort of know how to sort of just be around you, how they act. They just sort of respect it without them saying it. Because I think in people back of people's minds, especially young black men and men in general, they're not expressive in those kind of emotions, if that makes sense. I like that picture you sent there. Where did you go? Or, you know, the family and whatnot. So yeah, that's sort of what I've noticed and what I've experienced in the last few weeks and months. So yeah, Lyndon, what was you saying? Sorry.
You know, I was gonna say, man, it's interesting, you know, because you know, when we talk about this rest, it's like we need it physically, like 100%, but it's like I don't know, like an assurance. Do you know what I mean? Like emotionally and mentally as well. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I think that's the part of it that's so enticing as well to others, because everyone can do with it. Do you know what I mean? Everyone can do with a rest, but not everything you do offers that like mental stability, that emotional assurance. I feel like, especially on the Sabbath, man, it's just because that's, you know, remember when we were speaking before about the videos that you was doing, and I remember I think it was the first video that you put out on your YouTube channel, and I was picking up all like just the beauty of the nothingness of the background. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you can hear,
I remember that.
Underneath your feet, you can hear the crunching, and you can hear the birds, and it's like, this shows this. It's like it encapsulates, because it makes you feel it rather than telling someone, yeah, it's good because it emotionally balances you, but it makes them appreciate it. It gives them almost like a second-hand experience of that, like a virtual experience, because they can hear everything that you hear and experience it as if they're there. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's therapeutic. You know what I'm saying? It really, really is, and it's and I guess then it makes sense, because it has to be much more than just giving us a physical rest. Because what's the difference between that and going home to sleep? You know what I mean? It's like the Sabbath offers more than that, and it's that's I feel like that's the bit that's enticing to people, and when they see it, it's like, I can imagine that's what made them gravitate to Jesus. It's like seeing like a peace of mind in someone who's just unwavered, even though madness is going on around. Why do you look so peaceful, kind of thing, you know? Because it's hard to tell when someone's well rested, but you can see when someone's just assured in themselves. You know, they've just got peace of mind. You know, it's different.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
I think what's really good is that you're providing a community, because that's what everybody wants to belong to somewhere. Everybody does, even if the place is depending on how low somebody is, they'll go to somewhere that's deggy reggy. They'll be mistreated, but if they still feel that they belong, they'll allow themselves to be mistreated. That's how crazy it can be. You know, why do you think young men join gangs? Obviously there's many different reasons, but it's that sense of just belonging, you know. And so what this provides, what I'm realizing, the only reason they're open to the Sabbath is because of the example. You see, because I don't know of any person, ministry, anybody in existence. I haven't met anybody, I don't know a ministry that's actually keeping the Sabbath in a way that makes people go, hey, the Sabbath, tell me more. And that's what I find so amazing by what you're doing. It's like it's actually getting people to inquire, and you haven't done anything. You haven't had that, no leaflets. You haven't said, hey man, last days
that's exactly what I thought, because I was, you know, it's like your religion should be attractive, innit?
That's right. And that's
like, if I'm keeping Sabbath in a way and it's
repelling,
there must be something wrong in it.
Right, and that's what we grew up with, John. It repelled you. Like this, literally, like me and Nathan were joking, my cousin, right? Sunset on Saturday night, we went, yay! Sunset on Friday evening, we went, oh.
Yeah, it's true.
Like as soon as it hit sunset at church, it was like, you literally felt a release. You know, I can talk about what I want. I'm free. I'm not going to sin anymore.
Because man used to go over the road and get a KA Black grape.
Well, come on, man, KA Black, come on, standard.
Yeah.
Remember that shop right across the road? Yep.
The arcade in the chip shop.
In the chip shop.
That one arcade. Yep. Those lights, was like salvation. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Because you know they stood out in it because it was dark and they stood out. She just went across the road, got your crisp, and it was like it felt like a little celebration. You got your crisp, your little chocolate, and we sat down and we were chatting. You felt good. Now you were happy. But on Sabbath, the best time of Sabbath was Sabbath lunch for me. Like going to people's houses because it was a bit more relaxed and the adults weren't so uptight. You see, so there was some positives where. And you know, and that's the thing. When we did the rare occasion they had an out into a park or somewhere, the rare occasion that you saw everyone relax. You saw people, their personalities were different. They weren't so uptight with telling you to stop chatting because you're out in the countryside. It just had it had the effect on everybody. You know, it's just a shame that generally we're still stuck in this traditionalism that's killing us, literally, and killing. It's killing our religion, you know. It literally, so that's I'm listening to what you're saying, thinking, this is some real powerful stuff, man. Because I've never heard of this before, you know. And yeah, it's like the religion's attractive. They're seeing something like he plays football, but then he's living it differently. I want some of this. Do you see? They can see he's one of us, but then he's not. Do you see? Clearly he's not one of us, but then he is, because his hair, you know, and then he's and you know, you've got certain principles you shared, you know, how to conduct yourself. So it's like it's rising people up to, and then they're getting what they want as well. Play football, like don't have to go out, you know, I can relax, I can do my sport. There's so many factors, and there's so many ripple effects that we don't even know of yet that's going on in people's heads just by them being there. Do you know what I mean? If they didn't have it, we'd have no idea. We couldn't measure what could be happening to people mentally, emotionally, you know, just by them. Maybe I'm sure there's going to be a few who would be in other gangs, not gangs as in crowds. That's not really good for them, but they got the football, so they come there.
Yeah.
So that sense of community, you're building like, or I should say, you don't even realize it, but like God is building a little community, little, you know, something to look forward to. Like, yeah. But you know, God be the glory, man. That's a powerful. I don't even want to call it a ministry because that has connotations that kind of ruin it. You know what I mean? Ministry, you know. Unfortunately, even that word has been hijacked. It's like, I'm going to start a ministry. It's like, no, this is it's powerful stuff, man. Praise God, Harrison, man. This is really good.
So much. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
God to be glorious.
Yeah, definitely, man. 100%, man. I can't stop. What's the word? Giving its praises, because you know when you're into something so long and it's so bad, innit?
Yeah.
And then you see something, and then you see something the total opposite. It's almost like, man, this is so good, man. Oh wow. You know, so even though it seems small, like, oh, that guy said this, I'm sitting there going, I'm taking notes. I'm thinking, yeah, man, how can I do that with my children more? Because thank God, I'm preaching tomorrow, but then afterwards I'm not preaching for the rest of the year. I decided, and there's situations that's happening now, where it seems negative, but then it's a blessing in disguise that I cancelled all my preaching appointments, because as soon as I cancelled them, it's like I said to Janine, I have to admit, I felt like a burden kind of lift, and the reason being, for me as a father, I want to spend more time with my children on Sabbath. But then it's just the morning time, but still it's the morning. It's like I feel like I'm putting the church in front of my kids. Why can't I be with them in the morning? I'm there, preach, then it's lunchtime, we eat, then let's go out. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm just not feeling this is right. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's not like it's wrong, but it's like, when I know myself during the week, okay, I'm not with them as much as I'm supposed to be, right? So then Sabbath, that should be the day I should be, if that makes sense. So for argument's sake, during the week, you can't. But I can, I'm at home, right? But then sometimes I can't, because even though I'm at home, I have to treat my hours of work like hours of work, right? But let's say I wasn't at home, right? So I'm physically not at home. So you can't be with your kids because you're not at home. You have to work, okay? So, and then you come home in the evening, you can spend a little time with them, be intentional, you know, and if they go to school, you know, just try and do home with them, whatever, but mine don't. So I'll be like, hey, because let's say I come home at 6:30, hey, daddy, sit down, they're eating maybe their last supper, you know, watch TV a little bit, I do worship with them, then they have to go to bed. That's it. That's not going to satisfy me, right? But that's what you have to do until something else happens, right? But then Sabbath, you got Friday evening to Saturday evening to spend a full 24 hours just with them.
Yeah.
So when I'm not doing that, but then comes Sabbath, I've prepared and I'm preaching, then now I'm spending half, you know, a good 4 hours, 'cause I'm on the Zoom, 3.5 hours, and I'm not spending more. It just made me feel like, this is not right, man. This is not right. This is not right. So my last one's tomorrow, and then afterwards, and this testimony again is made me think, yeah, man, just do it. Just cut away and just do it. Because, you know, I've seen the investment, when I say the investment of me homeschooling them and me being with them, I see how close they are with me. Like, you know, little things like, that, you know, Solomon comes in and says goodnight to me. I don't have to go, hey, say goodnight. You know, I don't have to do that. They want to do that. I don't have to tell them to hug me. I don't have to tell them to kiss me. They're affectionate naturally. Aisha and Isabel will come in, you know, every night when I'm not on Zoom. Every night. Isabel's at the age now. She's tween. She's 12, so she's like, you know, she's getting a bit. You know what I mean? She's in that age now, right? I've noticed when people come round, she just goes on her laptop or goes to her room for the whole time they're here, and I haven't made her come. Yeah, for the whole time. With people she knows, she's fine. Like Chanel, Andrew, people she don't know, she's pew gone. And then I don't say nothing. Come out. I just leave her. It's just a phase. They'll come out of it, right? So the point is, I look at that and I think that's because I invested the time. That they were like from nappies, birth. Ginny used to express milk, and I'm feeding them in the middle of the morning, and then you know, with them all, then changing nappies, and then you know, I've been with them, and it's just like they feel it when I'm not, because they say, "Daddy, man, come on, man, let's play some daddy games. Daddy, you're working too much." Like they say, because they feel it, because that's what they're used to. You see, so what you're saying there, that like it should be. I'm thinking, yeah. It's got to be attractive. It's got to be so attractive. And a couple of weeks ago, I sat down with them and I was just like, right. I had some ideas of praying to God. I was thinking, God, how can I make this Sabbath thing really attractive to them? You know, the obvious one, obviously, going out. But when we're at home, like if it's pouring down with rain or something, it's like, what can we do? So I came up with some ideas. Like Friday evening, I said, right, what's your favorite thing to eat? So they gave me what their favorite thing to eat is. So I'm gonna next week Friday I'm gonna say, right, definitely gonna do that, and then we're gonna do that, and then I said, decide what games can we do, where can we go, and then just start doing it, man. Just start doing it, because I don't want it to. I think because I've grown up in church, it's like me and Joe was saying, this mindset where you put more effort into church stuff than your own family has to be killed. It's like it's so natural. I don't even realize it's there until it's there. You see, Thomas says for me to do something, and I'm putting that's why I quit being a youth leader. Right? They asked me to be youth leader before COVID, and then I put together this presentation, this structure, this plan, logo, everything, all this. And I remember saying, one time just came to me thinking, you're putting all this effort, but then you put less effort when it comes to your kids. And I was sitting there thinking, I don't even think about that. I just do it. I don't even realize. And I said, I think that's because of how I've been brought up. You know, this thing of, you don't even realize it's like, what's the word for it? You know, when you want to, you know, when it's for show, you know, you're doing it for people. You think you're doing it for the good of others, but really you're doing it for yourself. But you don't even realize. What's that again?
Yeah, pretentious.
Pretentious, maybe.
I'm just guessing myself.
But you get what I'm trying to say. Well, you know, in church it's a show. You know, you can't. You feel, that's it. You know, where you feel you can't say no, or you know, you have to do this. You're duty bound. It's that kind of mindset where it's like,
Okay, yeah.
where you're not consciously thinking that, right? You'd be like, oh yeah, this is the work, church, you know, preaching. Da, da, da. But then now I've got 3 kids. If I didn't have 3 kids, it's a different story. I got the time. Because I got children, obviously my calling has changed because now I'm a father. You see?
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, what's the job then as a father? What's my job? My first job is the father, not preaching or anything else. It's father. Okay, so if your job is father, then that should get most of your time then, shouldn't it? Yes. Right. But it's not. You see? And I'm not saying this for anybody or for yourself. I'm just saying this is me. This is what it's like this is what I'm convicted of. I'm just saying I've been reminded by just those short testimonies, all these ideas that come to my head to try and make this religion thing attractive to my kids, because they're Asha already's like, Daddy, church is boring. It's this already, and she's been saying since she was 6, literally since she was 6. Daddy, church is boring, and since lockdown, I'm like, man, I literally was thinking, what do I do? And then that's why when I saw your post, I was thinking, yeah, why don't we go out? But that's challenging to go far. But we still can go. We can still go close. Because sometimes the children ask me, Dad, let's go for a walk. Because we used to do that regularly. So they still are in the habit. So sometimes we just go down there to the park and go for a walk. In fact, when Jonathan's here, Jonathan's been here for a good couple of weekends now. They just go to the park, like just around there, down there, and just play and whatnot, right? And at first I was like, oh, park, play, Sabbath.
Yeah.
But in my head, my rule is now, if I haven't got a good, sound, thorough biblical reason, then just let them do it until you get a good enough reason, because you're just speaking out of tradition, because literally it's just my own innate, and I just don't feel. But then the alternative is them sitting here doing nothing.
And getting holding resentment inwards.
Literally. And I'm like, but
out of respect for you, they might not show it or say it as deeply as they probably mean it. So your daughter might say, oh, it's boring, but there might be more to it than just boring. But she doesn't want to overstep the mark.
You've read my child very, very well, yeah. Because they're all like that. Yeah, it's true. Because she even now, there's little things she says, oh, it's okay. Now, what is it? And I have to encourage, she goes, nah. She doesn't really express fully what she really is going to say. And I just say it and I have to coach her a little bit. All of them do it. Oh, that's all right, Daddy. And I go and say it. Don't worry, you're not going to meet her. Just say it, come on. And they go, it's all right. And I'm like, come on. And when they say, I go, ooh, that kind of hurt a little bit. I didn't know you were thinking that, right? But I want to get them, and I'm getting them all the time. I said, speak your mind, speak it. It's better you just say it. Just say it. And it's good I can say to them, do I beat you? And they go, no, it's me. Right. This is me. Do I just punish you? Just for, it's me. And it's good I can say to them, last time you was annoyed, did I punish you? They're like, no, it's me. Right. So it's good I've built up a consistency enough that I can say, have I done this? Do I just punish you? Do I scream and shout at you anymore? Right? They're like, no, you ain't done it for ages. Well, I'm like, right. And then that helps them, because obviously those things is what's discouraged them a little bit from speaking their mind through. It's like, oh, last time I said whatever, you flipped your lid. So, oh yeah, okay, I remember. So I've kind of had to build a rep a little bit. You know, it's like a winning streak. Before you get your fans back, you have to build a little winning streak.
That's right.
Otherwise, they're gonna go, "Come on, man! You want us to bet on you, man, and you be losing 20 games? Come on, man!" You know.